don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. Forever to touch you, 'cause I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't wanna go home right now. And all I can taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your life. Sooner or later it's over, I just don't wanna miss you tonight. And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. I just want you to know who I am.
38-55. That is the Mets record since June 13th, when they were first in Major League Baseball. It is the 5th worst record in all of baseball since June 13th, and it is the exact representation as to why the Mets somehow found a way, through the jaws of victory, found defeat. 6th in team OPS, 5th in home runs. However, 18th in pitching might have been some of the reasons why this team just wasn't enough this year. Mostly, though, in close games, they just couldn't seem to cut it. When all things are said and done, the 2025 Mets can be described as nothing but a disappointment. New acquisition Juan Soto led the way with 6.2 WAR on the year, 38 stolen bases, 20 doubles, 43 home runs, with a OPS plus of 160. Last year's runner-up in the MVP, Francisco Lindor, played 160 games this year and racked up a 30-30-30 season with 129 OPS plus. Pete Alonso, who this year broke the Mets' all-time record for home runs, is also another player who put up a 38 home run season with 41 doubles for 144 OPS plus. However, just opted out of his contract and will become a free agent this offseason. But one of the biggest things that hurt the Mets this year was injuries. So many different pitchers, so many different arms ended up playing this season, and that could be one of the causes we could consider for why this team struggled near the end of the season. Only 2 pitchers pitched over 30 games and over 150 innings, Clay Holmes and David Peterson, and neither were as effective as their best pitcher this season, Kodai Senga, who led the team in WAR with a 2.1 WAR in 22 appearances, also leading in ERA for those with qualified over 100 innings. In fact, actually, if you consider by WAR, the third best pitcher on the staff was Nolan McLean, who only pitched 8 games. It's pretty concerning to say, especially as they made a lot of acquisitions at the deadline, traded away a lot of young prospects, resources, all of that, to acquire pitchers throughout the year, to add to a core that ended up not being that effective in the long run anyways. Going into this offseason, they are in trouble. But they have a core. The question is, what are we going to do to change that? I simulated the 2025 season. We are not going to have a, non-playoff team draft pick simply because of this. I don't think that matters. I draft well enough that it's not concerning. But the Cubs end up defeating the Yankees in this sim. Let's get into the offseason where we are going to start the retool of the New York Mets. The Mets roster bolsters one of the most expensive teams in all of baseball. In fact, it's also one of the most top-heavy teams, with big players like Lindor, Juan Soto, even Edwin Diaz making over $20 million as a closer. And while there are good pitchers on the staff, none really considered to be an ace, besides potentially Kodai Senga. This puts us in an awkward position when it's considered to free agency. Yes, the Mets have, essentially because of Cohen, an unlimited amount of money, but that has not helped them win a World Series. They've collapsed multiple times, and they've made it, but have never been able to get over that hump. 1986 is the last time that we've really seen them see that success. That's so long ago that we don't even really consider it as part of the modern era of recent Mets baseball. They have new ownership. It's a different era of the New York Mets. So when we consider what we're going to be doing, I want to make sure that we start off fresh. Yes, we've had Pete Alonso. He's a core member to this roster. We will not be holding on to Pete Alonso. We will start to try to adjust this roster from the base up. There are prospects, interesting players at each position that I'd say could end up being pieces that I like. When we take a look at catcher, Francisco Alvarez is a catcher who I do really enjoy and could be pretty productive. When we take a look at second base, Luis Angel Acuna, Ronnie Mauricio, both young prospects who could end up being something, 23 and 24 respectively. Mark Vientos is a great third baseman, and Brett Baty is not a great third baseman, but both are young and have some potential to grow. When we take a look at the outfield, we're a little older in that department. We have Mullins, who's going to be a free agent, but we've got some prospects like Carson Bench on the way and a couple other guys that could be there. But really, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, that's the core. When we come to the pitching staff, we've got a lot of ways to go. We're talking about a pitching staff that's older, but that is also a thing that we're known for in regards to David Stearns, the former GM of the Milwaukee Brewers. And I think right now one of the problems is he's trying to Milwaukee Brewers this, and it's a little early for that. It won't work because it's going to take time to develop a team like that. A pitching staff, a development system, and we might see that coming. Nolan McLean, and you also have Jonah Tong coming up, a couple guys that could end up being something special. But right now, you have older veterans who are already looking to succeed. Can we wait for the development of these young prospects, or must we go out and acquire reasonable pitching, reasonable lineups to help actually succeed while we are still on the Francisco Lindor timeline? The Juan Soto timeline's a lot longer, but some of our veteran players, even Edwin Diaz, some of the starters that we've paid money to when we talk about Clay Holmes, who doesn't really have a lot, Sean Manaea, $25 million for a couple years here, Tyler McGill, he's in arbitration, Kodai Senga, $15 million. We're not necessarily expecting a whole lot of cash from these guys, but they're veterans. They don't know if they're going to stay at the top of their game, and even if that's enough for us to succeed. So today, we're going to go into free agency. We are not going to retain Pete Alonso, and we're going to move into a new era as we retool the Mets to try to put ourselves in a position to succeed next year, the following, and win one while we still have the great top-tier success, MVP caliber seasons from Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and all of the above. Let's get into the offseason and see what we can do. When we take a look at all of the players that we could potentially extend qualifying offers to as our exclusive free agents, none of them really come to mind as somebody who we need to bring back. Cedric Mullins, not necessarily the most productive. He hit 182 with the Mets this year. Nothing really special. Didn't see much out of Gregory Soto. Tyler Rogers was actually pretty good. I don't know if he was worth the Drew Gilbert assets that were traded in order to be able to acquire him, but he was decent. Helsley was awful. Like, straight up terrible in New York. 22 games, 7.2 ERA. Yeah. Not really worthwhile. Jesse Winker only hit 229 this season. Rayleigh there. I think Marte is done and retired, essentially. It's time to probably start over and not bringing any of these guys back. So going into this offseason, considering what we have on the roster, I think one thing we might have to worry about acquiring is just some basic contact on base percentage type bats. Guys that don't need to swing for the fences. We need mid-tier guys to replace essentially the production of what Pete Alonso, Tyrone Taylor, Marte, Brett Beatty, McNeil. I know that that a couple of these guys are gonna stay, but like we're essentially trying to replace one really good bat and a bunch of mid-tier bats. A little bit of Moneyball in this, but not necessarily to that extent. So we're going to be looking for mid-tier bats, and I think one of the positions that we're really going to be looking at is the outfield. There's a couple guys that I think could be that. Harrison Bader this year was very productive. It's not going to show on here, but he was pretty good this year. I do see a negative potential, so probably not him. Miguel Andujar was also pretty productive this season as he goes into the postseason. We could go right back to going big and bring in Kyle Schwarber. Don't know if that's a great idea, but as a DH could be interesting. I guess that's a big question of how much money we have left over by the time things are all said and done. When it comes to the rest of the outfield positions, and we take a look at right field, we're not going to be in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. We're looking at much smaller investments if we are trying to. And I think Trent Grisham got too good. So we're going to see what we can do in the outfield. There might be a trade somewhere in this deal in order to try to get some pieces back. When it comes to the rest of the positions, we might look at trading some of these younger guys. I don't want to give up Mauricio, and I don't want to give up Acuna, but I do think that if we are able to do so and acquire an outfielder that could be productive soon, maybe we do. It's not like there's a whole lot of free agents that are just sitting here that are interesting and available. So maybe Luis Arias gets brought in because he's cheap, gets on base. I like pairing him with Juan Soto a lot. He's a guy who I enjoy bringing in. Could be something like that. We don't have to worry about catcher, so we might be looking at one big position to replace first base. Ryan O'Hearn, Luis Arias potentially, and then essentially an outfielder. For pitching, I don't know if we're going to invest big in anybody. There is a chance that we could go after a guy like Zach Gallen, who really underperformed this year. Maybe we can get him for a little cheap. We take a look at a guy like John Means, who's always somebody who's interesting and productive. And there's a couple other guys that I think could be on this board of interesting pitchers. Fill up our bullpen since we just let everybody go to help Edwin Diaz, who for the first time in his career led his bullpen in innings pitched. He needs other players to add to the team. Devin Williams in the sim pitched to a 203. I think if that were true, that would be awesome to add. So let's get into this and see what guys we go after. I think one player we're going to go after in the trade market just to get ourselves started is going to be Lars Nootbaar, who seems like the perfect acquisition for the New York Mets outfield. And the Cardinals are in need of pitching. And if I'm going to start replacing some of the pitching that we have, this is the perfect team to do it with. Sean Manaea is going to be traded in this deal. We're essentially buying Nootbaar on a low. While this stat isn't necessarily true on here, this season he did have his worst season of his career. 95 OPS plus as he hit 234 with a 325 on base. However, pretty consistently over his career, he's been an above average hitter and does get on base at a decent clip. We're buying low on Lars Nootbaar and going to give up Sean Manaea in this deal. Another player we're going to buy low on is going to be Masataka Yoshida. This year with a .2 WAR, ended up being not that productive for the third-year outfielder and DH for the Boston Red Sox. He ended up with a 93 OPS plus this year, 266 average with a 307 on base, only in 55 games though. I'm hoping what we can do is we can see him raise that up a bit, and maybe he'll just be our DH as Marte is gone, but it'll be something to acquire. And is a safe bet, especially if all I'm going to have to give up in this deal is Brett Beatty, which it's time to give up on Brett Beatty. And while I do think there is an element of maybe we should spend big on getting an ace pitcher, I don't actually think that any of the pitchers available in this free agency are going to be worthwhile. John Means, I think, is a perfect acquisition. I don't actually think we need him. I do think we have 5 pitchers, but I want to have another one just in case. Luis Arias is going to be what I'm going to shoot for first base. I like the idea of him getting on base at a clip that's just decent, essentially, for way cheaper. And then Miguel Andujar, who was pretty good this past year. I'm hoping we can throw in just into the rotation of outfielders that we have with Yoshida now, with Nemo, with Siri, with Nootbaar, and with Soto. It's a lot of outfielders, but it's the position that we're kind of weakest at, because with first base being Arias, second base then going to be McNeil and Mauricio, third base going to be Vientos, and shortstop locked up by Lindor, we don't really need any other positions. Well, for those of you who just watched the Rays video, that's scary. And we're adding Luis Arias. He's going to come back to play alongside Juan Soto. Oh, he stayed in division. What a weird choice, though. We'll add another outfielder. We did get John Means. And then I decided instead of bringing back Soto and Helsley, Luke Weaver was available. I'm going to bring in Luke Weaver to be a reliever instead. And I'm going to bring back Tyler Rogers. And so inherently, I do think this team statistically looks worse, right? We are losing Pete Alonso. We lost a couple other players that I think had some value. But I think also another thing that we have to consider is some of the leadership things that we had to worry about. And I'm wondering if there's an element of the core that just wasn't necessarily working well together. Just by shifting and changing who the guys are that we have in the locker room, hopefully we'll adjust that. When we go to our rotation, we have Senga, McLean, McGill, Peterson, Holmes, Daniel Nunez. We brought in John Means, Reed Garrett, Tyler Rogers, AJ Minter, Danny Young, Luke Weaver, and Edwin Diaz. And the lineup still has its veterans, but I do see Luis Arias as a piece that I think is going to be really helpful. I'm hoping Yoshida will end up being useful, but I think one benefit is that we have enough outfielders now that I like the opportunity to be able to switch them out if needed. Nootbaar is somebody who I'm going to bet on. I think Andujar is going to be good. I just don't know a slot, and I don't like Jose Siri, though I know he's a great defender. I don't think that the contact in his vision is useful for a team that struggles to get guys to score. And if we can't score, who cares about the defense? So after 1 month of play, we're about where we should be, 19-12, right behind the Phillies. I'm not expecting us to be dominating them, especially since I didn't invest a whole lot of money in the pitching staff. I'm going to wait to do that this upcoming offseason. We got to build some confidence in our locker room and with our fans to make sure that they actually believe that we are, useful and doing something of worthwhile to follow and desire before we end up saying, watch us bring in another guy. So 19-12, not a bad start. And it's because I'm really happy with, I think, Luis Arias. I thought he's the perfect acquisition for this team. And this is something I would think that they should do this offseason too. I don't necessarily know if him and Soto have a relationship, but Arias played really well in San Diego. And if Arias is a free agent, that's a great place to go. Yoshida's been pretty good so far. Soto's Soto, and Lindor's all right. We're seeing some Mauricio not looking that great. Vientos is okay. Nootbaar not necessarily that great, so I can swap him and Andujar and all this last outfield position being still a little bit weak. So it's June 14th after June 13th, one of the best places that we can compare our season to last year's. Right now we are 43-27, and we have just taken the lead in the NL East. This means that we are 2 games behind where we were last season, while subtracting Pete Alonso from our roster. I'm actually pretty satisfied with that when you consider that. This has been okay, I think. I think there's still some room to go, and I think one of the benefits now is that I actually like pretty much all of the lineup, minus one position, and that is that center field spot that Jose Siri, Lars Nootbaar, and Miguel Andujar are trying to solve. And I think pitcher number 5, because David Peterson and Clay Holmes are struggling, and I don't really like either of them. We also could talk about reliever, which means we can go into this deadline which were the Mets, so we should buy, as a buyer looking for maybe a center fielder, maybe a starting pitcher number 5, and maybe just another bullpen arm. I do not have assets to trade, though. We traded all of them before. So we don't have to make all these deals. We could stay pat if we need to. We have Jonah Tong, who we could bring up instead as starting pitcher number 5. Relievers, maybe we could make a deal for. I don't necessarily think I'm out or definitely need any of these. But center fielder is a position that I think we should solve between Siri, Nootbaar, and Andahar. See, here's the thing. Siri is providing amazing defense, mediocre bat, mediocre on base percentage. We have then Andahar has more batting average, less on base, less defense, and then you have Nootbaar, who's really doesn't have the bat but can walk a lot. He has the highest on base percentage, but with mediocre defense. Really, none of them have all things. If I can combine the 3 of them together into one piece, yes. Can't do that. And this year on June 28th, we have the best record in baseball. So hopefully 14 days later, essentially, is going to be enough for the playoffs this time. I need to clear up a roster spot, and he's actually out of options, which is too bad. Acuna's hitting 345 at AAA. I'm just going to bring up Acuna, and I'm going to move off Mauricio. He's hitting poorly. It's something that I don't want to do. I don't like giving people this short of a leash, but it's just not enough. And I know that I've got McNeil, and I know I've got Acuna, and I can get some stuff back in this deal. We're going to get a reliever, Robert Garcia, and a prospect, Yasun Morabel, from the Texas Rangers, who are pretty bad this season. And those 2 guys should help fix some of our problems. So we have pick 24, but I know I'm going to draft well anyways. So pick 24 versus having pick 18, I don't think makes much of a difference. Or 17 or 16 or whatever they'll end up having. There's so many good pitchers, and it makes so much sense to draft them. We're going to end up probably taking one, unless there's just a good position player who falls, like Eric Cummings could fall and slip to us a little bit. Kenneth Benitez. There's a couple other guys that are really, really interesting near the top. That's a guy who I think might be there. There's a first baseman who just has just a really, really all-around generational type talent guy. Probably go number 1. But we'll end up seeing who we end up getting here and add to the core. Well, now I'm scared because this guy, I didn't fully scout him because I was like, there's no way. I saw the stats stayed the same after the first scouting period. Was like good contact, right? Good vision, good discipline, good defense. He's just perfect. So I was like, I'm not going to scout him again because he's not going to fall to me. He's here. So it's some top rated pitchers. You gotta take it, right? So taking a look at the All-Star game, we did end up having a couple All-Stars. Clay Holmes actually jumped way up after I mentioned that he was doing poorly. Low strikeout count meant the WAR was low, but he wasn't actually pitching bad, just had very small amount of appearances, and then put a bunch of shutouts together, was really good. Edwin Diaz, kind of a down year, 3 ERA, but he's gotten a lot of appearances because he's a reliable guy, and we end up being in a lot of one-game situations, so he's been pretty good. Then we also got Brandon Nimmo, got an all-star right now, 287, has been pretty good with 17 homers, and Juan Soto leading the league in home runs, 28 and a 313 average, though none of them are actually our best player. While not necessarily getting as much show as Soto, because he's not playing every single game in the DH spot, Masataka Yoshida, 12 home runs, 16 doubles, and a 325 average right now with a 928 OPS. Okay, all right. Not as good as Juan Soto. I was over exaggerating there, but Yoshida, very, very good for basically trading up a replacement level pitcher. That's disrespectful to Sean Manaea. I'm sorry. What am I talking about? I forgot. That was the Brett Beatty deal. Yeah, we won that deal by a lot. At the deadline, we're actually, despite being in first place, not going to buy. That's because I don't have assets to trade. But we actually are overperforming at AAA, and we signed a few free agents that I didn't necessarily want to sign, but I had to fill up the roster, and the computer added me some guys, and they're pitching really well in AAA, including also still having Frankie Montas and Jonah Tung, who could be brought back up. And I think we're going to bring up Montas for the rest of the season. But David Peterson, 5.88. He's not been good this year, 72 innings. Coming off of, 2 years ago, he had his best season. This past year, he was an all-star. Look, I know he's been a Met forever, but expiring deal, he's going to go. We're not going to get much back, but the A's are leading the AL West right now. We'll give them a starting pitcher for the rest of the season for 2 mid-tier prospects. But that's because we are actually going to buy and redirect one of those assets to Pittsburgh, who have Austin Hayes, who is doing phenomenal this year, and they are once again in last place in the NL Central. We are going to do that by trading away the piece that we just acquired in Ybarra and combining it with Jose Siri to send to Pittsburgh to get Austin Hayes back, so we have a bat in center as we try to make a World Series push. And we can see that not fully scouting Ramon Lorenz was not necessarily the best idea. Ended up not being that great, had good stats, but wasn't that impressive. In fact, Ruben McMahon, who I drafted with my second round pick, is a more impressive first baseman, though much further away. 87 potential, 90 from Giancarlo Marquez. Couple decent players here on some random swings from guys I did not scout, including an 86 potential Hubert Reyes. There was a 99 potential starting pitcher in this draft. Colorado Rockies got him early on in that one with Brian Hardy. 87 and 51 with a month left to play. The magic number being 15 now for us over the Phillies. 10 game advantage. We technically could still blow this. We did see Detroit just do this with Cleveland. But I think this is a pretty much a lock that we're going to make the playoffs with 87 wins. Because if we lost every game for the rest of the season, I don't know how that would happen. But really, when I look at this roster, I think we'll come back at the very end to say what we had to do and how I think statistically that's a good representation. When we consider a retool, I do believe the pieces that we moved are going to be better. This is MLB the Show. It's not going to be a perfect reflection of what essentially is probably the real problem with the Mets, which is the culture. I'm hoping that Luis Arias is my representation of that fix. Similarly, they had Jose Iglesias, who they brought in, fix the culture. Last year, they made a run all the way to the NLCS. Luis Arias, another guy off that Padres roster that had played with him, bring him in, and maybe that helps fix the culture. Don't know. I don't know what's the problem in this locker room. I don't think anybody does. Otherwise, they would have solved it. But they're not spiraling. We are in first. September is here. Let's see what seed we end up getting. And so 102 and 60, we win our division. We will be taking on the winner of the wild card playoff game. Let's see how that ends up looking. I know the Brewers are right up with us. I think that means that we have to bye. I'm just curious if we beat them by if it was close. Looks like very close. 102 and 60 for us. Phillies went 91 and 71. Brewers went 101 and 61. So I'm curious who had the tiebreaker because they lost their last game and we won our last 2. Ends up being a pretty good year for us. We do have 2 award winners. Hank Aaron goes to Juan Soto, and the MVP to Juan Soto. 299 average on the season, 45 homers and 113 RBIs, beats out Bo Bichette with the Brewers and CJ Abrams of the Washington Nationals. Juan Soto this year ended up playing 155 games, 177 hits, 38 doubles, 45 home runs, 24 stolen bases, 299 average, 386 on base with a 985 OPS on the year, racking up 4.5 WAR. Interesting. But I guess last year they probably gave him, Oh, he didn't get MVP in that simulated year. Interesting. Anyways, very good year from Juan Soto. Bichette second, Abrams third. Cy Young, Logan Webb gets that over Freddie Peralta. When we take a look at the AL side, Jose Ramirez gets the MVP with the Cleveland Guardians. Deservedly so. Finally gets something on his trophy. The guy who's eventually going to be 400. And Skubal gets the Cy Young 284 with 203 strikeouts. League leaders for us is just Juan Soto a bunch of times, but we had a good year all around. Nothing crazy. Looks like we had Luis fourth in hits. The batting average and batting title went to Geraldo Perdomo with 315 average, also led in hits with 196, tied with Trey Turner. When it comes to doubles, Nico Horner, home run leader Juan Soto. So we also had the home run title as well in the NL, beating out Corbin Carroll's 41. Saves leader in the NL goes to Trevor McGill of the Brewers with 56 saves. Edwin Diaz was fourth in the race with 45. ERA crown, Skeens. Just 2.6 is low for him. And then your strikeout leader is Spencer Strider. Batting title in the AL goes to Yordan Alvarez of the 332, beating out George Springer, interestingly enough. Hits leader Nick Kurtz of the A's with 192 hits. And then your home runs leader, Jose Ramirez with 46. Great season for him. Saves leader was Hunter Harvey with the Detroit Tigers, having 49 saves. ERA crown, Garrett Crochet with the 2.42, just beating out Jose Barrios, Drew Rasmussen, and Shane McClanahan of the Tampa Bay Rays, and your strikeout leader, Cole Reagans. Starting with our pitching staff, Frankie Montas did get sent down after having a decent last month or 2 months of the season. Nothing really special there. No other. Tyler Rogers also gets sent down. 3 ERA on the season. We'll bring him back up for the postseason run. Ended up being pretty good. I think that's it for him, but still very good season from the reliever, who I'm glad that we brought back for a year. When it comes to the major league level, I had Jonah Tong up in September. Wasn't very good. That's why they had that. Reed Garrett, 407, 55 innings. Danny Young was terrible. That's why I don't want to. Whatever, we'll just swap him with Trevor Rogers. AJ Minter, 308, 130, was very good in 76 innings. Daniel Nunez, 248 with a 1-1 whip. 67 strikeouts in 72 innings is very good. Luke Weaver, great free agent acquisition with a 2.55 ERA, 0.93 whip. And how many holds did he end up with? 40 holds for Luke Weaver. One off of the record. Robert Garcia, good mid-season acquisition. He had a 3 ERA when we traded for him, ended with a 3.2, so slightly worse, but still pretty good acquisition. Then Edwin Diaz, 249 with a 1.16 whip and 45 saves, 8 blown saves on the year. Was a very good season from the closer. Senga, 347, decent. 3.58 from McLean, decent. McGill, not that great. 4.5 with a 1.5 whip is pretty bad. What's his FIP, actually? Yeah, still not that great. Clay Holmes was pretty good. That was our all-star. 3.25 with a 1.35 whip. And John Means. I love bringing in John Means. He was great. So this offseason, we brought in several players. Lars Nootbaar, Miguel Andujar, Luis Urias, and then also a Masataka Yoshida. Those guys had the role of replacing Pete Alonso, Starling Marte, and that center field spot, Jose Siri, Cedric Mullins, Tyrone Taylor, all of that. I think we did a fantastic job. Now, let's take that with a grain of salt in one regard. Lars Nootbaar, I don't think was a good acquisition. He was pretty poor, did develop a little bit, but replacement level player. Andujar started off hot. He was hitting 300 at about the All-Star break, but had a really bad second half of the season. Lost, just didn't really justify that. That's why we made the Austin Hayes trade, because he was slumping. Made sense for me, and that's why we did it. When we come to that, we'll look at the Austin Hayes move. Hayes was hitting 292 when we traded for him, 285 by the end of it, with 26 homers. I like this move a lot. This is I think, the perfect outfielder for that move for, replacing Jose Siri. But I think the big thing is replacing Pete Alonso's production. And I think we did just that. Luis Urias, 293 on the season, with 190 hits and a 343 on base percentage, is the guy who just got on base. The productivity to just get there. Is he bad defensively? Yes. We're playing Moneyball in this style, not caring about defense. Our pitcher stats are therefore going to be a little bit worse. you take some, give some, whatever. It's not like Pete Alonso was a Gold Glove first baseman either. But that is one thing. But if there is any other piece that I could say was the smartest move that I made in this, Masataka Yoshida for Brett Beatty. 25 homers, 79 RBIs, a 310 average. The rating jumps up a ton. 139 hits, 28 doubles, 25 home runs. He did not play a full lot of games, 117 games, with only 448 at bats, so he didn't qualify to list inside there. 491 plate appearances. He needed 9 more to qualify, but he didn't hit lefties. 904 OPS. What an acquisition that was, which made up for Lindor playing terrible. 241 for Lindor this year. Look at the regression across the board as he just had a bad season. Like, if Lindor plays well, we're talking 106, 107 wins maybe. Alvarez was good. McNeil was good. We had consistency across the board. This is what the Mets need. They need consistency across the board. I'm not going to act like I'm going to have all the solutions for this team. I'm not a GM. I'm an internet GM. And the only thing I can say is that I win a World Series every time. Let's go do that. After the bye, we'll be taking on our division rival, the Philadelphia Phillies, in the NLDS, who took down the Padres in 2 games. Brewers are taking on the Dodgers in the other series. If we are able to take down the Phillies, we will be seeing the Brewers or Dodgers. Detroit is playing the A's, and Baltimore is playing Houston on the other side. Kodai Senga is going to start game 1 for us, and then we're going to have Nolan McLean and Tyler McGill. I'm not changing anything. That saves us good arms for the end. Senga versus Luzardo in game 1 in New York is going to end up giving us an opportunity. Bottom 9th, 2 outs. Luis Arias up to bat. Is he going to get it? We do get that victory, likely in extras in that case, as we end up seeing that was tied. So, just going into the 10th, we do get that victory. Tanner Banks gave up 2 runs. Those runs coming from a RBI from Andujar, McNeil, and Mark Vientos. So we end up winning game 1. Edwin Diaz getting the victory in that one. Game 2 in New York, McLean versus Michael King, who they acquired this offseason. We lose that one 4-8. McLean was not very good in his first postseason appearance. Tyler McGill, one of our worst pitchers, versus Christopher Sanchez, their best pitcher. In game 3 in Philly is a 2-3 loss. Tyler Rogers takes the L. That's on me because the game suggested that we did not have him in. Blown save, though, by Luke Weaver. Gave up 2 runs. Rogers just got the L because that was the last run that scored. We're a little anemic offensively right now. Not very happy about that. But we have our best pitcher against Aaron Nola in game 4 in a do or die. Game 4 in Philly. Right now, Milwaukee has advanced. We cannot concern ourselves with that. We have to beat Philly first. Game 4, we are eliminated by the Philadelphia Phillies. It wasn't going to happen year 1, but good for the A's. They win the 2026 World Series. We are going to go into this offseason needing to acquire, I think, some pitching talent to try to build and bolster what we have. I think offensively, I'm pretty happy with the Austin Hayes acquisition. We could still use outfielders. I'm not going to say that we're not going to, but I want to invest our money in a better pitching staff because I like the acquisitions we made and a great season we had from the role players of Yoshida, of Austin Hayes, of McNeil, of Alvarez, and Luis Arias. And while there are some interesting bats up for free agency, I think the best idea for us is going to go to try to acquire an ace to the rotation, especially after we just kind of had a serviceable pitching staff going through. And we did give up 3 runs, 4 runs, 6 runs, 8 runs throughout the postseason. So adding an ace will be beneficial. Every other pitcher then can move down in the order, maybe into the bullpen, and we'll try to adjust our bullpen as needed. But Freddie Peralta or Chris Bubich are my top guys. I want Peralta personally. I don't think there's a pitcher to me that is more reliable than Freddie Peralta. And if I can get him, I mean, we're going to spend the money, right? He's going to be expensive, but if I can get him, I want to add him to this team. He would be a top end pitcher for us. I think that's where you should throw your money. See, the pitcher I actually wanted to go after was going to be Brandon Woodruff because I wanted to spend a little bit less money, but he actually is asking for $34 million. Yeah, I'm not paying that for Brandon Woodruff. And because we are going to be moving off of Rogers in the bullpen, I'm going to make a move for Brian Hudson, reliever of the White Sox. Not going to give up much. We're going to give up Nolan Jones in this deal. And in fact, I'm going to throw him another piece. We're going to give him that Morabel guy that we got in trade earlier, just so that it's a little bit more fair for them. I like to lose deals inside this because I feel like I'm picking a player that's going to be more useful for me. Brian Hudson is going to be a perfect acquisition to this bullpen, so I don't need to sign any in free agency. Waiting the decision for Freddie Peralta. Are we going to get him on the books, or is Milwaukee going to keep him? With the pen to the paper, we are going to have our ace. Freddie is coming to New York. Going into 2027, we are going to have a new ace at the top of the mound. Freddie Peralta, now in Mets colors, is going to take the leadoff spot in our rotation as the ace. Tyler McGill is going to end up being our now big reliever here in this position. Brian Hudson added to the bullpen in replace of Rogers. Otherwise, we're pretty much running it back with the same team. That's represented accurately by the lineup, which is exactly the same as it was last year. If we have any drop-off from a player like McNeil, Luis Angel Acuna can take that spot. Nootbaar will hopefully have progressed a little bit. And we've got guys now in the wings, in Clifford and Jet Williams, as well as Carson Benj, who are on the way, ready to come up if needed. But if we can get another season like we did last year of Luis Arias and Masataka Yoshida, as well as basically that helped get Juan Soto an MVP. If these two can do what they did last year again to support Soto and Lindor, I think we got it with the new pitching staff. If I'm wrong and we have regression, we make moves at the deadline. Early part of the season, about a month and a half in, 7th in ERA. When we look at batting average, meaning how many times that we are actually getting our hits and getting our guys on base, I know it's not necessarily perfect. We are sitting at 11th, but we are sitting currently all the way down in 23rd for runs. The guys got to hit each other in. I mean, we're not necessarily like out of it because we still technically have a positive differential. I mean, look at our runs scored comparatively to the Marlins now at this point. We have picked up the offense, but I think the problem is we're losing close games. And that goes right back to where we were in 2025. That's bullpen, that's pitching, and that's once again not scoring the runs you need to score. And I thought we fixed that problem, but I guess we didn't. Like, admittedly, Arias is not performing to the level I was hoping he would perform to, but he still has a 300 plus OBP. Yeah, it's not necessarily good, but Yoshida, phenomenal. 294, he's been playing well. Soto's playing well. A big regression comes from Francisco Lindor and from Alvarez, and I guess McNeil's playing well, and Nimmo. Vientos has warmed up a little bit, so I guess our offense is starting to pick up, but Lindor, I think, is the big one who needs to pick up the pace here. But it really doesn't help that we have Freddie really struggling right now. Like, brought him in, he is really struggling, and I don't want to waste another year on the way to doing this where if we've got to get Freddie up to speed for a whole season, that hurts. And a 5.2 ERA from Edwin Diaz doesn't help either. I mean, we're in the game of just acquiring possible trade assets at this point, knowing that we're trying to contend in the next 2 years. So if we're looking at players, we're trying to get young guys with a lot of potential. And so in the draft, I'm not necessarily looking for guys that are going to play on this team. And I think that makes sense. Large market teams are never really in a position where you're going to be doing that. Yes, you can build up a farm system, but almost every time these large markets are the ones who are going to trade for the big stars at the end of the day. That's what we're here for, but there isn't really anybody here, and we are struggling big time right now this season. So let me get the best assets possible. Probably Billy Eller if he's there. Hello? to Billy Eller. So this is the part where we ask ourselves the big questions. What do we do? How do we fix this? Because we're 48 and 49. We still have some of the best talent in the league. And really, we're not necessarily that bad in pitching, and we're not that bad offensively. We're better than our divisional counterpart, the Miami Marlins, who we're only 5.5 games behind. But across the league, I mean, we're just not that impressive. Defensively, okay, look at the Central right here. The Reds have 12 more wins than us. Look at the offense, look at the pitching. Yeah, I think we have to improve our pitching somehow. Cardinals are a top team. We have a very, very similar offense to the Dodgers, but our pitching is bad. I think that means time to try to probably trade the older guys and just let the new guys come up who are pitching well in the minors, or try to acquire another pitcher. Depends. We'll see what's on the trade block and what's on the market. It's not like there's a whole lot of teams with great pitching staffs that are available. I mean, we could talk to the Braves, but that's in division. If we go to the AL, you're talking about the Blue Jays. These teams don't have pitching. And right now, I can't help but feel like this is what's haunting us. Pete Alonso, third right now in the MVP race. I think if anything, this is the trade that hurts us the most right now. I could really use 2.15 ERA for Sean Manaea instead of a bench bat that's not being really anything. This is going to be a controversial move. Clay Holmes is in the last year of his deal, doesn't make a lot of money, and is currently pitching with a 3.64. Isn't like that bad, or necessarily, but I need to do a shakeup inside of our pitching rotation to try to fix our pitching staff. Clay Holmes with an expiring deal makes the most sense to me. In addition, we have a lineup problem. I think one of our issues is our bench bats aren't very good, and I want some other pieces. We are going to swap Clay Holmes over to the Yankees, who have Max Fried out for the rest of the season, for Oswaldo Cabrera, who is currently in AAA hitting 316. I want that as a utility bat to bring onto this roster. We had to bring in Stanton. That is an expiring deal. That is just a cash, basically, dump for us to make this deal. I'm going to cut him, honestly. Not going to keep him. But that is just a deal that we're going to have to do to make the contracts work. We are actually going to bring up the pitcher Matt Manning, who last year pitched to a 2.10 ERA in AAA, and this year is pitching to a 2.04. I'm going to add him to the roster. I don't even remember how he got here, but we're going to add him to the team. Probably got him in free agency as like a AAA contract. We're going to just move him up to the major leagues. So goodbye, Clay Holmes. Matt Manning's going to move up into the lineup. And because right now, one of our biggest regression points is Brandon Nimmo in center field, I am going to go after and try to acquire an expiring deal of Jake Myers. And we are going to overpay for this deal in order to make it happen. Essentially, knowing that this is kind of our all-in move for this season as our buy. We've done a buy and a sell this year. Kind of did the same thing last year at the deadline. The purchase being Jake Myers because we need a center fielder. We're going to give up a top prospect in Vern DiMaggio. Simon Juan, a decent prospect, and I'm going to throw in Lars Nootbaar just to make the money work and to give them an outfielder for the rest of the season. Essentially, I don't have to give him Nootbaar, but I'm doing it because that's more fair, and because otherwise I'd have to send somebody down, and I don't have the roster spots, so doing that instead. Well, Eller is 100% a trade asset if we need to trade somebody. Going to be a top-end prospect in all of baseball, so if we need a big piece, that's who we're going to give up in order to do so. Also, I made all those trades on the 23rd. We lost 7 straight games since I made those trades, so really Metsy of us. This stretch is like one of the most Metsy like things I've ever seen. So All-Star break, we are 1 game below 500. Then we win 5 of our next 6. Then we lose 5 of our next 6. Then we lose 5 of our next 6. Then we win 4 of our next 6. Then we lose 3 of our next 4. Then we win 6 in a row. What are we? Don't know. How do I make a judgment call on what needs to be fixed? I don't know. Lose 5 of our next 6. 3.5 games behind the Marlins, though. So, 1 month to go. We could still technically catch them, but I think Philly got hot. Well, if Miami keeps playing like this, they've fallen below 500 for the first time all season. We might have a shot. What? I mean, 80 and 82 is a playoff team. Look, my relationship with this roster is, oh my God, how are we that bad? How did we underperform? And now we're in the playoffs. Like, whoever's got us should sweep us, but you never know. But like, man, we didn't even go 500. And we made the team. I'm sorry to the Marlins fans. Like, what kind of collapse is that? They were like 5 games ahead of us going into the last month. Yeah, we just like the pain though, because I mean, I'd feel bad then too, because they didn't make the playoffs. Like, why is he? I guess because he let in home runs and RBIs, but like, that's not an MVP to miss the playoffs. But I guess once again, is that really on him that the team was bad at the end of the year? It also does hurt to see Pete Alonso win an MVP in a different uniform. But what are you going to do? Guess what? I bet the Cy Young's all Dodgers. Oh, it's not. Shohei Ohtani, Ranger Suarez, and Michael King. Shohei getting the Cy Young. On the AL side, Julio gets the MVP. It's 2027. That's what he does for me. In every sim, 2027 Julio is the GOAT. And then Garrett Crochet, Cy Young. Batting title goes to Victor Robles with the Cardinals. Okay, all right. Jake Myers was third. When we take a hits leader, that's Trey Turner. When we take a look at the home run leader, that's going to be Pete Alonso, who also led in RBIs. Saves leader is Tanner Scott with 58. That is second all time. In saves, the Dodgers are probably a powerhouse this year. ERA. Strikeout leader is going to be Hunter Green. Batting title in the AL goes to Jonathan Aranda. Hits leader, Julio Rodriguez with 191. Your home runs leader is going to be Javier Colon of the Mariners, and Junior Caminero tied at 38. Saves leader in the AL is Gabe Spire of the Mariners with 52 saves. ERA, Brian Wu, 2.42 for him. And your strikeout leader, Hunter Brown. Daniel Nunez got sent down. 3.01 ERA was not bad. I guess the strikeout count low. Walks, I mean, I don't really know why that gets sent down, but okay, anyways. When it comes to the actual lineup, Tyler McGill, 3.93. Nolan McLean was terrible. Maybe we just keep Jonah Tong up. I don't really want to mess with anything. Heck, you can start in the playoffs, dude. I don't care. Reed Garrett, 2.73. 2.94 for Brian Hudson. Minter had a 4.95. Weaver was okay, 3.8. 3.2 for Garcia. And Edwin Diaz was awful. 6 blown saves this year, one of his worst seasons of his entire career outside of 2019. Yeah, whatever. Starting rotation, Freddie did put it back together, 3.46 by the end of the season. Just had a really, really bad start. I think if you take that away, he was probably low 3s, high 2s ERA. Just a terrible beginning to his season. Kodai Senga, 4.05 with a 1.32 whip. Matt Manning was actually great. I mean, keep Buddy around, I guess. John Means 3.47 for us here. Like, it doesn't even look that bad. The game sent down 2 guys, and the 2 guys that it sent down, Ryan Clifford hit 3.04 when I brought him up in September and just gave him the job of Luis Arias, and I guess because he's bad defensively. It's not like Luis is any better necessarily. And then Masataka Yoshida got sent down. He was phenomenal. 287. I mean, it wasn't a 900 OPS season, but it was an 848. Like, if anything, I'm going to take pride in the Yoshida trade because that worked out really, really well for us. And I'm going to bring him back up to the lineup because he's like our second best bat. Nimmo had major regression. Luis Arias looked really bad this year. 259 is his worst season of his entire career. Andujar 252 was okay. Cabrera was just not a good trade. Parada off the bench, not good. And Acuna was terrible in the beginning of the season. Jake Myers was a great pickup. I mean, look, the guys that we trade for, the veterans that we bring in, they're great. But if the other guys can't play, then the other guys can't play. Soto, 292 with 41 home runs, finished runner-up in the MVP. 265, 26 homers, and 89 RBIs from Lindor. Did not get, we saw regression, and I don't know if it's going to come back. 255 and 11 for Alvarez, 288 and 20 for McNeil, which is pretty good. I mean, I'll take it for a guy who's considered to be more of a contact guy to end up getting 20 home runs. That's really nice. Vientos, 262 with 19 homers, and Hayes, 286 with 18 homers. Like, you look at this roster, and you're like, okay, how is this a below 500 team? We just don't win the close games. So we have the Milwaukee Brewers in the first round of this one, playing the 6th seed to take on Cincinnati if we end up winning it. They have Suarez, Mizorowski, and the third pitcher is going to be Brady Singer in this one. So it's a little bit of a different rotation for them because we've got Freddie. So game 1, Freddie Peralta, got to get the dub with our ace in this one. We do. 4-0. Fantastic game from our ace. That's why he's out there. Freddie getting the dub in game 1. Jonah Tong coming in for Mizorowski. Which young guy's better? Tong, Mizorowski? It's Tong! We won a series! And so we won't have Freddie for a little bit in this series. We're going to have Kodai Senga versus Andrew Abbott, then Manning versus Hunter Green, and then John Means versus Nick Lodolo in this one. So can we get this victory against the Cincinnati Reds, who won the NL Central this year, to start? So in our NLDS, game 1, Senga versus Abbott is going to be a 6-7 loss. Senga must have given up a lot of runs in that one. We're in Cincinnati. We take the L. Game 2, Matt Manning versus Hunter Green. Why is Manning pitching? Because he had a 2 ERA when he pitched. Can he beat Hunter Green? What? Oh my God. Yeah, that about sums it up. The 3rd and 6th best pitcher in our rotation. By the way, McLean was the number 2 to start the year. Oh my God, guys. And then offensively, 3 hits. Thank you, Myers, Yoshida, and Soto. Where is everybody else? Game 3, elimination game. Yeah, just get me out of here quick, please. Okay. Well, we have Freddie for game 4. Okay. Elimination game. Just kind of a funny menu to be looking at. 80 and 82 versus 99 and 63 of the Reds. We have the better offense and the better pitching staff in the postseason. It doesn't really mean anything. But anyways, we're going to go into this one trying to win. Going to Great American Ballpark in the elimination NLDS against the Cincinnati Reds. And hoping that we can do something special. Yikes, man, our pitching staff. Jonah Tong is going to play in this one because I have no reliable pitchers outside of Freddie Peralta, who just pitched and gave me a victory. All right, lineup-wise, okay, Myers has been good. McNeil, okay, so this is a lefty. Andrew Abbott's pitching in this one. Soto, Lindor, man. What's your purpose? Like, what's your purpose? What's the point of having a number 4 hitter hitting 91? Andrew Abbott, 5.06 ERA. I think he got lit up in the first game, but he got the dub out of it anyways, so it doesn't really matter. 5.06 ERA. Myers is going to ground out to start. McNeil flies out, and Soto flies out. Tong gets a ground out there, fly out from Steer, and nothing. So, shout out first, pop out for Lindor, single for Vientos, who I think was hitting like 400, did that just say? Andahar with a man on first. Fielder's choice. He's now on first instead. Alvarez gets ground out. We make nothing of it. Jonah Tong, single for Bregman. Sack bunt gets him over to second. A single for Noel V. Marte with runners on the corners for Ryan Jeffers, who gets a single. They take a 1-0 lead. Strikeout for Benson and a ground out. So we're down 1-0 now. Hayes gets a ground out. Arias gets a ground out. And nothing going. Really no offense for us yet. Ground out for Friedel. Strikeout for Steer. And a solo shot from Ellie De La Cruz puts us down 2-0 with the rookie on the mound. Not much we can do there. McNeil. Solo shot. 2-1. Okay, we're back in this now. Down by 1 with Soto up to bat with a double. Lindor, please do something. Thanks. Anyways, Ryan O'Hearn, walk. Double play, though, gets us out of that jam. And another walk. And caught stealing. Why was Ryan Jeffers trying to steal a base? Anyways, I think we're going to probably make the pitching change going into the next inning just because I just need somebody that's not... Tong's scaring me. All right. Alvarez grounds out. Hayes gets a single. We have a man on first for Arias, who hits into a double play. All right. So Tong's scaring me. I'm going to go to McGill for about 2 innings here. Benson gets a double. McLean strikes out. Single. Men on first and second for Steer, who gets the strikeout. And Ellie. Okay. All right. That's stressful. Top of the 6th for us now. Andrew Abbott is going to go against Jake Myers. Gets the fly out. Ground out for McNeil. And nothing from Soto. McGill against Bregman. Hearn and Marte gets out of that one. 2 innings down. Pretty good there. Lindor versus Andrew Abbott. Useless. Vientos strikes out and nothing. No offense, guys. Outside of the McNeil home run, we have had nothing. Okay. Jeffers gets a walk. I think that just means I'm going to make the pitching change here. We will go to, it's the bottom of the 7th. We're going to go to Weaver. In this one, Benson, he tried to steal another base. Benson strikes out. McLean gets a single, and we get out of that one. What's Ryan Jeffers doing? Francisco Alvarez against Tony Santillan. Fly out there. Hayes gets a single. Luis Arias, your job is to just hit balls and get on base. All right. Men on first and second for Jacob Myers, who hit .310 this season. Men on the corners for McNeil. Let's go. Tied the game up 2-2. Juan Soto up to bat with a man on second and third. This could turn the game if he gets it. They're switching to Alexis Diaz. Let's just enter. This is a really pivotal moment. I know it's the 8th inning, but this is Juan Soto up to bat. Seattle has advanced into this one. San Diego has advanced. Juan Soto up to bat in the top of the 8th with Alexis Diaz on the mound with the men on second and third. He gets a ball to the outfield. We have the lead, and we have come back to potentially beat the Cincinnati Reds. That just means Soto has to do something. So let me go team select. I want to make sure I'm not controlling anything. And let's see if Soto can do it. Give it to me, Juan. Diaz with a pitch. Misses. High. Slider. 1-0 count now for Soto. Up on deck is Lindor, so if he gets walked, that's probably a bad thing. Because Lindor is not good. With a pitch. Oh, we got saved on that one. That slider was definitely within the zone, but the ump decides to give us instead a 2-0 count for this one. Alexis Diaz is a little bit of a wild pitcher. Maybe he'll leave something over the plate. Another four-seam fastball misses. That is going to be a 3-0 count. That is probably a walk generation, but I don't know. In the simulation, when you watch this, often they'll get to full counts because he'll throw a four-seam here. Soto will foul off the other one and will be in a full count and get the strikeout. So please don't. This is Juan Soto we're talking about. 3-1 count after the four-seam in that pitch with the pitch. Okay, that's hit deep. Is it going to get over his head? It is! We've taken the lead! Juan Soto! Oh my God. I thought I predicted the future. I did not. I am so glad we jumped in and saw that. We are up 3-2 on the Cincinnati Reds. How have we come back? I do not know. Oh my God. Thank you, Juan Soto. Oh my God. All right. Okay. I think I'm going to actually go. Okay, I can't go back to team manager. We got to let him pitch. We'll let him pitch. We'll watch Lindor strike out or something. Foul ball. Or maybe we'll see Lindor's, like, first hit of the postseason. I know it's probably his second, but, like... that one was crushed foul. That was a pretty good contact, but... something about his timing must be off. He's been actually pretty bad the entire simulation for us. I'm not necessarily certain why he has been. With the pitch, ball outside, two-seam fastball. Hey, if we give ourselves 4-run lead, that still might not be enough with how bad Edwin Diaz has been. But I think a lot of people will be very confident with Diaz in. All right, thank you, Juan Soto. That's all I gotta say. Thank you, Juan Soto. We are going to be going to Robert Garcia. That's actually who I would have put in too. So let's go back in to quick manage for the bottom of the 8th. Fly out, ground out, and a walk to Bregman and a fly out. We have Alexis Diaz. They're going to Jabot. Walk for Vientos. Single. Men on first and second for Alvarez. Fielder's choice puts a runner on the side. We're going to go for the sac fly. Give me an extra run. We are up by 4 runs. We are going to be able to get out of this one. Pitching change. Go to Diaz. He has been terrible. But it's Edwin Diaz. Actually, I thought I was going to get the animation. But we'll get the animation here instead, as we are going to go team select. And if he gets it, we're going to see the celebration as we get the chance to advance to the NLCS. Coming back thanks to the Juan Soto 3-run shot in the 8th. What a comeback. We were out of the playoffs and below 500 going into September, and we might find ourselves in the NLCS thanks to a 3-run shot in the 8th inning by Juan Soto to save us from Francisco Lindor. Because, yeah, Lindor has put us in this position. All right, we're going to the NLCS. Edwin Diaz celebrates. The Cincinnati Reds are just shook. I think nobody expected them to be in this position where they could lose to a team below 500 after winning almost 100 games in the year. And, like, thoroughly outplaying us. So we have the San Diego Padres here in the NLCS. Somehow making our way here. Seattle's playing Tampa Bay on the other side, so maybe that's a sign. Anyways, we do not deserve to be here, and that can be seen by Game 1 starter, 7.71 ERA, Kodai Senga. Or maybe Game 2 starter, Matt Manning, with a 13.5 ERA. Or, I don't know, Game 3 starter, John Means, with a 7.2 ERA. Our pitching staff is unbelievably bad, and I don't know how they were that bad. So, we don't belong to be here. All right, that wasn't too bad. We do lose 4-1, but I was a little bit scared. I thought Senga was going to have a lot more, but not a lot of offense there from us in that one. I'm going to blame Lindor. Game 2, Brandon Woodruff versus Matt Manning. If there's any game for us to lose, it is this one. We have no purpose winning this game. Not purpose. Okay. Guys, could you show me a way to symbolize a loss more than this? Yeah. Lindor up the bat with 2 men on. All right, we're down 2-0 and losing both games at home. Oh yeah, we have home field advantage because we won our division. Anyways, Means versus Pivetta in Game 3. Yeah, we're down 3-0. That's it for us. Maybe we'll steal this one because we've got Freddie on the mound. We do. And then Game 4. Our Game 5, Jonah Tong versus Musgrove. Okay, well, we steal that one too. And then in Game 6, Senga versus Woodruff. I guess we're going to a Game 7. Well, that's a familiar screen. We are, once again, the better offense and the better pitching staff, so we're the better team. So 100% guaranteed we're going to win this one to go to the World Series, right? Right. Okay, well, Game 7 is going to be here in Citi Field. We are going to be taking on, I don't know if I want to go with Matt Manning. You know what? We haven't pitched him. Let's go Tyler McGill. Haven't pitched him. Just give him the opportunity. Matt Manning has been bad. We're going to have Masataka Yoshida play in this one. Okay, looks like Lindor has been playing a little bit better since his terrible start. Let's hope that we have the offense here to take on this Padres team and go to the World Series. I mean, we're coming down from 3-0. They have Tatis, Bogarts, Machado, and Schwarber. So, all right. Get it through the first. Oh, Nick Pavetta's pitching. 1-3-1 with a 1-0-2. Okay, all right. Let's see if we can get some offense then. Soto walks. It's a good start. I kind of want to steal second, but I don't want to risk it. But you know what? It's 2 outs anyways. Oh, we got it. Okay. Lindor? Okay. It had no purpose anyways. All right. So strikeout. Schwarber. Naylor flies out. And Merrill. So it's pretty much the Padres just with Schwarber and Naylor. But otherwise, that's pretty much it there. So it's the same team. Cronenworth gets a hit to get on base for me and hits into a double play. So 1 hit after 3. Myers is up to bat. He gets a single. He's on base. Come on, Yoshida. With a single. 2 men on for Juan Soto. And another single, but Myers gets thrown out. Okay, Lindor grounds out. We get nothing out of that inning. That sucks. All right, pop out for Tatis, single for Bogarts, pop out for Machado, and nothing from Schwarber. Still a pitcher's duel between McGill and Pavetta to start off. Solo shot, the rookie, Ryan Clifford. We take the lead, 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Vientos gets out of that one. McGill strikes out, Merrill strikes out, and a flyout. McGill is doing a really good job to start off this game. Hayes gets a flyout, ground out from Myers, hit by pitch for Yoshida, puts Soto on base up to bat with a man on first, and a 2-run shot. Thank you, Yoshida, for taking the hit. We are up 3-0 as Soto hits the 2-run home run to give us a 3-0 lead in this comeback. Strikeout for Sheets, pop out for Fermin, and a flyout for Tatis. McGill is pitching a gem. They're going to Yuki Matsui. Strikeout for Alvarez. Walk for McNeil to get on base. Clifford flies out, and nothing there from Vientos. I don't want to go to the bullpen. I don't want to risk it. He's pitching so well, but I'm also scared. Okay, 7-8-9. We have a 7-8-9 guy, but I will go until he lets a guy get on base. Ground out. Double. All right, this is the pitching change moment for Schwarber. We have a lefty here. I'm going to go to Garcia. I think I trust him the most, and we've got a bunch of lefties in a row. Robert Garcia versus Kyle Schwarber. Strikeout. Naylor. Get out of that one. All right, bottom of the 7th. They are going to go to Sean Reynolds. Austin Hayes gets a ground out. Myers walks to get onto first. Yoshida flies out, and Juan Soto with a single. Men on the corners for Lindor. He flies out. Nothing there. Okay, we're going to stick with Garcia because we've got 3 lefties in a row here. Ground out. Fly out. Sheets gets a single. It's 4 outs. It's 4 outs. Diaz can get us 4 outs to go to the World Series. Fly out. 1 down. Matthew Boyd. Strikeout. Fly out. Clifford hits a double to get on base. Single, men on the corners for Austin Hayes. Single, we get another one. We're up 4-0. Myers walks, bases loaded for Masataka Yoshida, who hits a single and scores 2 more. We're up 6-0 on the Padres. Coming back, Suarez against Soto, grounds out. It's all right. Diaz going to start off on the top of the lineup with a strikeout. Bogarts going to get a single. Let's jump in so I don't see a double play because we might be going to the World Series. 1 out here against the Padres to come back from down 3-0 for the chance to take on the Seattle Mariners. Gets the first pitch on Machado. This is Edwin Diaz's moment to really lead us there. We didn't get there in 2023, or 2024, my bad on the years. Last year was a down year. And now we have our moment here. The pitch. That ball is going to be up high and miss. It's 2-1 here in Game 7 in New York at Citi Field. Diaz can get us out of it. Machado fouls that one off. It's 2-2. With a pitch. That ball is going to be a strike. Diaz gets him out. We are down to the last batter. The Padres have thrown it all away. Can Schwarber protect them at least a little bit of their dignity? As Diaz is going to drop in a slider in the zone. Schwarber takes it, 0-1 count. Oh my God. With the pitch, that ball is going to be inside. Another slider, but this one misses. 1-1 count for Edwin Diaz against Kyle Schwarber. Drops another two-seam low, misses, 2-1 count. It is a 6-run lead. I'm pretty confident we're going to get the victory, but it's just what a comeback this would be. With this one, ooh, doesn't give it to us. 3-1 count. Josh Naylor is up on deck for the Padres. Diaz fouled off. Full count as the Padres are down to their last pitch in their opportunity to go to the World Series. And the Mets trying to complete a miracle. That ball is going to be fouled off as well. We are 80-82. And we have come back from down 3-0 against the Padres. Fouled off again by Schwarber as he fights to stay alive and keep the Padres' hopes alive here in this one. Pitch goes. It's a strike on the paint. The New York Mets are going to the World Series. 80-82. Down 3-0 in the NLCS to the San Diego Padres. We are the 2027 National League champions. Can we complete this miracle and beat Seattle? I don't know, but we're going to see soon. Wow, what a run this has been in a bad season. We are completing miracles. We have one good pitcher, I guess two. I think I'm going to have to put McGill in the rotation for the World Series because I don't know what else I've got. What a game from Trevor McGill. What a game from Juan Soto. Oh, Seattle, here we come. And so here we are from coming back. We took down the Reds. We took down the Padres. Did not expect to be here. We were down 2-0 to the Reds. We were down 3-0 to the Padres. Now we have to go take on the Seattle Mariners, where we are going to be pitching Freddie in Game 1, Jonah Tong in Game 2, and Tyler McGill, not his brother Trevor, in Game 3 against, well, Seattle, who, yeah, they're Seattle. I don't have to describe anymore. They are insane. I am happy and feel like we have had a successful run just to even make it here, but I got to get that title, right? I really hope that we can get it now because I don't know if we're going to be able to make another run like this. Okay, Freddie Peralta versus Brian Wu in Game 1. We win 8-2. We take down Seattle in that one, taking a 1-0 lead in Seattle with a Freddie dub. Game 2, Jonah Tong on the mound against George Kirby, who has been phenomenal so far this postseason. We are going to be, this is going to be a close one, bottom of the 9th. The Mariners defeat us in that one. Edwin gets the loss, 1-1 as we go to New York. Tyler McGill versus Logan Gilbert in Game 3. John Means versus Wu in the next one. I think if we're down 2-1, I've got to go to Freddie. I just have to. Because that would mean I'd get Freddie 3 times, and I kind of need Freddie 3 times. Tyler in Game 3 is a 2-1 victory. I kind of think I should just go Freddie anyways. I want to look at this box score, but I think I'm going to go switch my rotation. I think I'm going to go Freddie anyways, as we are up on them 2-1. 13 innings that took. And McGill was phenomenal. Like, I'm not going to give anything. That was a great game by McGill in that one. But, whew. All right. Okay, let me go fix my rotation. Freddie in Game 4. If it goes 7, he's pitching Game 1, 4, and 7. He's the only thing I can trust against Brian Wu to make it a 3-1 series. Can he take down Woo? He can! 2-0, a gem from Freddie Peralta. We're up 3-1 on the Mariners. We're up 3-1 on the Mariners in this one. Let's look at this box score as Freddie pitches a gem, gives up only 4 hits on the day total. 3 from Freddie, 2 walks there, and our bullpen, Garcia, Weaver, and Diaz, the 7-8-9, all pitching gems in this one. We are going to game 5, going to jump in, and we are going to watch to see if we can win this series with Tong or McGill, and if I need him, Freddie will be back in game 7, but let's win this one in New York. And so game 5, the 82 Mets are going to be taking on the 101-win Seattle Mariners. I can see why, if they're hitting 214 this postseason, that would make a whole lot of sense why they're struggling against us. I mean, at this point, I guess they'd be down to what? Julio and Cal as offense, and that's probably all they have. Oh no, they got Tucker. I don't know. But I guess they still have they have Xavier Edwards now too. I'm looking at their roster. I don't understand. Anyways, whatever. Let's. Okay. The Mariners. Jonah Tong on the mound, Xavier Edwards, Julio Rodriguez, Kyle Tucker, Cal Raleigh, Eugenio Suarez, Dominic Quinzon, Javier Colon, which I'm going to guess was their draft pick in the first one, Nate Lowe, and Joey Ortiz. Starting off with a hit by pitch on Xavier Edwards, who steals a second, ground out, walk for Tucker, and a double play for Raleigh gets us out of that one. A little bit of a messy start for Tong, but we do get out of it. Castillo versus Myers strikes out. Yoshida gets a single to get on base for Soto, who strikes out. Lindor gets a walk. Man on first and second for Francisco Alvarez, who flies out. Nothing there. Suarez versus Tong, strikeout, ground out, and nothing from Colon. We get a ground out for McNeil, strikeout for Clifford, and a single for Vientos with Hayes up to get a ground out. Tong gets ground out there, strikeout for Ortiz, single from Xavier Edwards, a single from Julio, runners in the corners for Kyle Tucker, is a walk, bases loaded for the big dumper, who strikes out. We get out of that jam. Top of that lineup is scary. Error gets Myers on base. Yoshida flies out. Soto strikes out. And we do get a single from Lindor. Men on first and second for Alvarez. Fielder's choice gets us nothing there. Single from Suarez. Fly out, strikeout, and nothing. We really need to make sure that the bottom half of this lineup can do nothing, because the top half is so scary. McNeil gets a pop out. Clifford ground out. Vientos ground out. Tong, I think he's probably got maybe 1 inning left in him, maybe. Give up a home run to Joey Ortiz. He does not. He does not have 1 inning left in him. I guess I will go to... Oh, I just don't like these guys. Manning. Single for Rodriguez. A sack bunt from Tucker. Fly out. And Suarez. We are down 2-0 to the Mariners. Ground out for Hayes. Fly out. Yoshida gets nothing. Manning gets a fly out there. Ground out. And nothing from Lowe. Soto flies out. Lindor grounds out. We got no offense today. I'm going to make the pitching change again. We're going to go to McLean. Ground out there. Single Xavier Edwards today. Fly out for Julio. And a 2-run shot from Tucker. We are down 4-0. Probably don't got much left in the bag here. It's not, something that we can get out of, but I guess I like to be doubtful because now we have runners on first and second for Vientos. Fielder's choice. Runners on the corners for Austin Hayes. Don't have hope. McLean fly out, strikeout, error for Colon, and a fielder's choice. I think I'm going to save my big bullpen arms for this one. Single from Myers. Yoshida gets a fly out. Soto gets a fielder's choice. Lindor strikes out. Yeah, we're just going to keep McLean in there because this one's probably over. Ground out, nothing there. Castillo. Now Trent Thornton. Strikeout. Single for McNeil. Fly out there for Clifford. Runners on first and second. We start a little bit of a rally. Can Hayes get us something? As they're going to go to Gabe Spire. He cannot. 4-0, we lose to the Mariners. And so now Game 6 going to Seattle. We are going to be just seeing if we can limp our way in. We don't deserve to be here, but we're here. We're going to go Tyler McGill. Freddie is on deck for Game 7. It might be a bullpen game. I just don't trust anybody else. As I legitimately wish I could take Lindor out. It says he's hot, but I just don't see it. Anyways, Kirby is going to be on the mound for us. All right. Single for Jake Myers, gets a good start. You pop out for Yoshida, fly out for Soto, and nothing from Lindor. Xavier Edwards grounds out, walk to Julio, pop out there. Cal Raleigh gets nothing out of that. Alvarez now pops out. McNeil gets a single. Clifford, runner gets thrown out on second. Error keeps Clifford at first, but a double gets him in. Mark Vientos, we take the 1-0 lead in the second. McGill strikes out. Pop up, and Colon hits a solo shot to tie the game 1-1. Okay, back to top of the lineup. Myers gets a single to get in. Fielder's choice puts Yoshida on first. Single. Runners on first and second for Lindor. Hits a single. Bases loaded for Alvarez. I should take the sac fly to get the extra run, but when you got bases loaded with one out, you got to go for the rally. I'm glad we did single, a 2-run score from Alvarez, strikeout for McNeil, and a 3-run shot for rookie Ryan Clifford. The hero in this series has been Ryan Clifford. Oh my God, we're up 6-1 on the Mariners. Okay, McGill grounds out Ortiz, Edwards strikes out, and Julio gets nothing. They're going to go to Eduardo Bizardo, having to get Kirby out of the game early. Ground out for Hayes, strikeout for Myers. Yoshida gets nothing. McGill gives up a single to Tucker. Fly out for Raleigh, fly out for Suarez, and nothing there. We might have a bullpen game, but that's okay with me. Bizardo here gets a solo shot from Soto. We're up 7-1. Ground out for Lindor, strikeout, and nothing there. We're up 7-1 going to the bottom of the fifth. I'll give McGill one more shot, one more inning. Ground out, single for Lowe. Single from Ortiz, but runner gets thrown out. 2 outs with Edwards on. Julio, man on first and second. Can we get him out? I'm speechless. I'm stumbling over my words. We shouldn't be here, but we are. Hayes is on, and nothing there. I'm gonna go. I think 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're gonna go to the lefty switch. I just don't know. It's Tucker, Raleigh, Suarez, right? They're all home run hitters. I think the best shot is to get somebody who doesn't really give up home runs. John Means against Tucker. Single. Double play to Raleigh. And a... Okay. Jinxed me very much, Eugenio. All right, we get out of that. Only give up 1 run. Masataka Yoshida is going to go up in this one versus Kevin Kelly. Gets a double. Soto up there. Ground out. Lindor gets a double. We take that run right back. Walk for Alvarez. McNeil walks. Bases loaded for Ryan Clifford, who strikes out. Vientos with the bases loaded goes to Trent Thornton, who grounds out. Bottom of the 7th, we're going to our 7, 8, 9. Weaver, Garcia, and Diaz. I'm going to go Garcia first because it's lefty, lefty, righty. Okay, Colon. That's 2 home runs for him today. All right. Double for Lowe, single for Ortiz, fly out. Julio gets a double. We got to switch. That's terrible. Terrible inning for Garcia as they come back. It's now 8-5. Tucker strikes out. Raleigh grounds out. We get out of that thanks to Luke Weaver. Now in the top of the 8th, Austin Hayes grounds out. Myers grounds out. Yoshida, nothing there. Okay, I'll give Weaver a little bit. Fly out there for Suarez. Pop out for Canzone. And nothing from Colon. As we go to the top of the 9th, can we get a little bit more insurance for Diaz? Ground out, walk for Lindor, double for Alvarez with a man on second and third. A walk, bases loaded for Ryan Clifford again. Fielder's choice gets no runs there as they take home. 2-run score, but the runner gets thrown out. We are going to go in, make the pitching change to Edwin Diaz. As we go to the 9th inning. Pitch to Lowe. Pitch to Ortiz is a double. Let's enter and watch as Edwin Diaz tries to beat the Mariners to give us our World Series run. This is the top of their lineup. This is Edwards, Rodriguez, Tucker, Raleigh, Suarez. So this could go really wrong, especially with a runner on second. But we have 1 out. 1-0 count as Edwards. Oh, great snag by Vientos. Saves the day. Edwards does not get that ball to go down the line. If he does, I think that Ortiz is scoring. And that's a double. Julio is coming up to bat now for the Mariners. Probably their best bat in their lineup. I know it's saying something about Cal Raleigh, but Julio has been phenomenal. 10-5 for us in this one as we go the ball up high 1-0 count for the Mets in our opportunity to win a World Series. Oh my God. So quickly we could turn this thing around if we do this. With a pitch, ball inside. 2-0 count now for Julio. Okay. That ball is going to get hit to first. Ryan Clifford grabs it. Ryan Clifford snags it. The Mets are World Series champions. 2027. We turned it around. Going into August, we weren't going to be in the playoffs. Going into August, we weren't going to be in the playoffs. This was a failed rebuild. I thought that I made all the mistakes in the world at rebuilding this team. Pete Alonso was an MVP candidate. We had Arias was terrible. Our pitching staff was horrible. But somehow, some way, we come back. We beat the Reds. We beat the Brewers. We came back down 3-0 against the Padres, and we just beat the Seattle Mariners in the World Series. Oh my God. Thank you, Ryan Clifford. Thank you, Ryan Clifford. Give him World Series MVP, because what a series. I'm just going to, I can't believe it. I can't believe we did that. Okay.
Singleton and our outstanding crew. I'm John Shelby. This has been the World Series on MLB the Show.
The Mets have won the World Series. How did we do that? How did we come back and do this? If we don't win these games right here, these 3 games, I don't even really know what's the pivotal point, because we weren't good. We weren't good at the end of this season. This is true Mets fashion of how we did this, of how we came back. I need to see this World Series MVP and all that. Mark Vientos gets the World Series MVP and the playoff MVP. He hit 360 in the playoffs, but I think that thing goes to Ryan Clifford more than anybody else, because what a phenomenal Game 6 he had. That's poetry. And so the trick to rebuilding the Mets and what they need to do in the future is sign Freddie Peralta. That's the answer, okay? When he becomes a free agent, sign him. That's the answer, because he was the whole postseason. He deserves, World Series MVP, actually, when you think about it. Just the 2 games he pitched, both gems, won both those games. Pitched all those games in the NLCS. I think he pitched 5 games this postseason, won them all. We do not win this without Freddie. And his performance is unbelievable when you consider that really he wasn't that good through the regular season. He was decent. He barely got us there. But he did enough when we were actually there to win it. And Tyler McGill, Jonah Tong, the pitching staff just wasn't good. We legit were not good in this postseason. Except for Freddie. And I guess Tyler McGill. Shout out him. He wasn't even in the starting rotation and pitched to a .52 ERA in his appearances. All right, I think I'm done. I think that's it. I think we're successful. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed us getting Masataka Yoshida, turning him into a star. I hope you enjoyed how we ended up fixing this team with these small deals, kind of taking a little bit more of an analytics approach. And then still technically failing, because this was not a good rebuild. I did not build a good team. But we won anyways, and that's what matters. The New York Mets are World Series champions. Thank you, and adios.
Go on.